Druddigan was impressive in the last video, grabbing the top overall spot in the tier list for the main game, but it had its struggles in the post game, and I mentioned at the end of that video that I thought Stoutland would set a new standard, and today we're going to find out if that's true. Rules are on screen, but they're also in the description. So this thing on paper is pretty good, with base 80 in every stat except for special attack, which is at 45. And that's alright because I don't plan on using any special moves, and I'm also going to be going with an adamant nature to boost my attack and lower my special attack. In terms of its move pool, it does get a few special moves like Hidden Power, Hyper Beam, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Shadow Ball, Round, Snarl, which you actually can't get in these games, and Surf. It has some nice physical options as well, like Return, Dig, and Retaliate, and also gets access to Work Up, the first TM we actually get in the game. But now I want to flip to its level up moves, and you'll see that we have 7 moves at level 1, which means we miss out on the Elemental Fangs. These are great for coverage in the early game, but tend to fall off later on. We start with Leer, Tackle, Odor Sleuth, and Bite, learning the last 2 again at levels 5 and 8. From there, we get Helping Hand at 12, Takedown at 15, Work Up at 20, Crunch at 24, Roar at 29, Retaliate at 36, Reversal at 42, Last Resort at 51, and Giga Impact at 59. The last thing I want to mention about Stoutland for now is that it's in the medium slow level up group, so by the time I defeat my rivals in my bedroom, I'm level 6. And after defeating N in Accumula Town, Stoutland reaches level 8. I'm only going to battle the one mandatory trainer on Route 12. After defeating Youngster Jimmy and Bianca, Stoutland reaches level 10, and it's on the brink of level 11 after defeating Charon at the trainer school. I will reach level 12 off the trainers in the Strident City gym. Since I replaced Snivy today, we're going to be facing Chili, who of the trio we see the most in these videos, and he actually might be the best of the 3. I don't think Stoutland is going to struggle in this one though. Lillipup is first, and while Tackle is the stronger option to go for on his Pokemon, I just go for Bite with the flinch upside. It 2-shots his lead and is able to 3-shot his ace Pansear, an easy first gym badge. The prize is the TM for Workup, which I'm going to teach right away. We're going to skip past the Dreamyard stuff today, but I do battle the one optional trainer so I can grab my Elemental Monkey Panpour. I did need something to use Cut after all in the Dreamyard. Jumping ahead to Route 3, I don't know why I did this, but I grabbed the Ball Mushroom. Probably just muscle memory for a run I did prior to this one. Anyway, I'm only going to take on one optional trainer in the preschool so I can grab the hidden Ultra Ball in the sandbox. But I want to talk about Stoutland's abilities really quick. Its 2 main abilities are Intimidate, which lowers the foe's attack 1 stage. This is also the worst ability to have for a solo run because the text and frames from it waste time. Plus, it only works on the lead Pokemon who's usually the worst. Then there's Sand Rush, which boosts your speed in a sandstorm, and this is really only useful for the Charon battle in the desert, because Stoutland can't learn Sandstorm. Last is its hidden ability, Scrappy, which just allows normal and fighting type moves to hit ghost types, and in later generations it makes the user immune to Intimidate. Today, I chose this ability over Sand Rush, even though I really won't get much use out of it either. You might be thinking, but you can hit Chantal's ghost types with Return. Except her lead is Coffagrigus with the Mummy ability, so really I can only hit that thing. If I were to replay this one, I think I would go with Sand Rush over Scrappy. Anyway, I have a battle against Charon. He's still not a problem. I have Takedown to this point, which after same type attack bonus is base 135 power. There is the downside of recoil damage, but Charon isn't going to be doing any damage to Stoutland. I catch my HM users in Wellspring Cave, 2 Roggenrollas and 1 Woobat, so I have 5 total party members now, and then head to Nakarine City. After depositing my HM users, I head to the house to the left, tell the girl I started with Tepig, and get the charcoal. I could sell this for money later, or I could use it to boost the power of a move like Fire Fang later on. Heading towards Pinwheel Forest, I'm going to grab the TM for Rock Smash. I ended up not teaching this move for Lenora or her gym trainers though. And the only battle I'm going to take over here is against the nurse, so I have a quick heal later on. I'm going to catch myself one more Pokemon to fill my party when I withdraw my HM users, a Timpole. Unfortunately, I don't get lucky with this one. These have a 50% chance to hold a Persim Berry, and luck just wasn't with me today. I head back to town and deposit it and then head to the gym. The battle against N isn't a challenge, but let's see if Unova's strongest gym trainer is. I'm very confident in Stoutland's ability to first try Lenora, so I put on a Chesto Berry that I got from Charon and saved. My first save of the game. I set up 2 workups, so now I'm at +1 after Hertier's Intimidate, as it hits me with Leer and then Takedown, doing about a third. We both trade misses with Takedown before mine hits, knocking out her lead, but the recoil damage brings me under half health. I level up to 20 over the next damage rounding threshold as she sends out her ace Watchhog. I outspeed it, Takedown hits, and at +1, it one-shots her ace. First try Lenora for 2 videos in a row. There really isn't much to talk about in Pinwheel Forest. Aside from battling rangers for extra berries, I do teach Stoutland Retaliate in the place of Tackle, just to have something with a bit more power, although only 5 PP sucks. Alright, Castalia City time. Typical errands: grab the TM for rest, head to the Battle Company for the scope lens, Team Plasma stuff, and battle Berg. My PP is low on Crunch and Retaliate, and I haven't healed at the Castalia Pokemon Center on top of it. I can use a combination of Crunch and Takedown to take out Whirlipede. Against Dwebble, I'm going to set up a workup, and I really should have set up a second, because Crunch leaves it on low yellow health as it hits me with Smackdown and Sand Attack. Berg heals it with a Hyper Potion as Takedown does about 2/3. I miss my next as Dwebble chips me down again with Smackdown, but my next hit's taking it out. I have less than half of my HP for Leavanny though. I use my last PP of Retaliate, which leaves it on low yellow health as it tries to speed control me with String Shot. Berg heals it with a Hyper Potion on the next turn, but Takedown one-shots it. This battle was a bit close. Kind of like this battle against Bianca, there is a free heal right before the battle against Charon in the house to the left in the desert. The only moves I have PP left in though are Workup and Takedown. I set up 2 workups on her lead Hertier so I'm at +1. It hits me with its own Takedown and then Odor Sleuth, but from here I get one-shots on all of her Pokemon, surviving on 11 HP after all of the recoil damage. With my PP restored though, Charon still can't hold a candle to Stoutland. I'm able to one-shot sweep his team. Before I head to Nimbasa, I head to the house to the left of the desert to grab the TM for Dig, just for added coverage. In Nimbasa though, the first thing I can do is purchase the TM for Return. I grab the HM for Strength and play Dress Up with Bianca. Stoutland is liking these glasses today. The battle against N isn't a problem. I set up 1 workup and sweep with Return. And Elisa is also really easy. I set up 2 workups as the Emolgas just played tag with Volt Switch. Return one-shots both of them, thankfully not triggering static, and although Zebstrika is faster, its Spark can't do enough damage, and I taught Dig just for this battle, but just leave my cursor on Return, which gets the one-shot. I have another easy battle against Charon as I leave town, and can then enter Driftville City after selling the Balm Mushroom I picked up earlier. I'm going to go with muscle memory from a previous run as to why I picked that up. Anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is grab the Expert Belt from the market. Next, I'm going to grab this Heart Scale for later before entering the cold storage. After I defeat Team Plasma and drive them out of town, it's time for Clay. No intro for him this week. I was slightly worried since I wasn't able to get a Persum Berry, but Stoutland says, "Don't worry bro, I got you." Return one-shots Krokorok, and against Palpitoad I decide to set up 2 workups, as it just goes for Aqua Ring and Bulldoze before Return one-shots it. Because of the speed drop from Bulldoze, I am slower than Excadrill, but it just goes for Hone Claws twice, and Dig one-shots. The battle against Bianca as I try and leave town though is surprisingly close, but it's only due to the hail damage that I take. I set up 2 workups on her lead Hertier, who also sets up a workup and then hits me with Takedown, and then I can just one-shot Bianca's entire team. Stoutland hasn't struggled to this point, and it's not going to struggle in Chargestone Cave either. The plasma grunts cause no problems, and I do a channel first. I'm actually going to be skipping the rare candy and bright powder this time around. Aren't you proud of me, Shadow Stitch? Aren't ya? Aren't ya? I have to battle N before I can exit Chargestone Cave. His lead Boldor takes 3 hits to knock out because it sets up fully with Iron Defense as I set up Work Up. I also wasted time in this battle going for Dig twice. I should have just switched to Crunch. I also have to 2-shot the Pharaoh Seed later on, but at least against it, I remembered to switch to Crunch instead of going for Dig again. Overall though, this battle wasn't difficult. Let's jump ahead to Stoutland City and the Celestial Tower. I want to talk about a mistake I made really quickly in this playthrough. After I battle this first mandatory trainer, you'll see me run back downstairs, and then I check my party. I forgot to withdraw my HM users. That's a first for these runs. Stoutland was doing so well, I forgot about this simple task, so I have to run back to the Stoutland Pokemon Center, but I get some ruffling grass as I'm running and get an Audino. These things give pretty good experience though, so I'm going to knock it out and reach level 40. Running back to the Pokemon Center, withdrawing my HM users, and running back to the Celestial Tower cost me about a minute and some change real time, and I actually almost made this mistake again with a recent run that I did, which you'll see in a few weeks. Anyway, we meet Skyla at the top of the tower, we ring the bell, send her back to Sen's fortress, and take her on. A lot of people in the community say that Skyla is the second worst gym leader in Unova. Can she do anything today to sway their opinion? The answer is no. No, she can't. After I set up a workup, I one-shot her entire team. I do level up to 42 and can learn Reversal, and with the Ice-type gym coming up next, I thought, why not? I have to battle Charon before I can enter Twist Mountain, and the hail makes this one a bit close. I set up Workup turn 1 as Unpheasant sets up Taunt. Thanks to Taunt, I can't set up Workup anymore, so I switch to Crunch, which leaves it on low red health. It then crits me with Air Slash, doing decent damage. I can finish it off the next turn, and next is Pignite. Part of me wished I still had Dig for super effective damage, but Return gets the one-shot. Not on just Pignite, but on the remainder of his team. I had nothing to worry about in this one. Alright, Twist Mountain time. Grab the rare candy, substitute, Icera City candy, and crush Bryson. No win for him this week. I set up 3 times with Workup, which was probably overkill, and just one-shot sweep. Dragon Spiral Tower, and a question for you guys this week. If Stoutland was a Yu-Gi-Oh monster, which would it be? Outstanding Dog Marin, or maybe Outstanding Dog Mary? Definitely not Skull Dog Marin, but maybe Silver Fang? Perhaps Chain Dog, or Assault Dog? Guard Dog maybe? Alien Dog perhaps? Or maybe Mad Dog of Darkness? I could keep going with this, but let's continue with the playthrough. Normally after Dragon Spiral Tower, before heading to Relic Castle, I'll pick up a few candies that I skipped earlier in the playthrough, but I'm only going to be picking up one right now, which is the one within the Desert Resort. I'm also going to grab a Rostberry before making the descent into Relic Castle. After getting the Lightstone from Lenora, I do grab the Route 2 candy, and then head towards Opalucid to battle Bianca for one last time. And for one last time in this playthrough, I defeat her, one-shot sweeping her team thanks to setting up 3 workups. Opalucid City Gym time. I'm happy to say this week that no Drudigans caused any problems. I even took safety saves before Hugo and Dara. And as of right now, Stoutland is on pace to beat Drudigan's time from the last video, and I don't think Drayden is going to do anything to stand in its way. Did I take the idea from Scott to play the Reshiram and Zekrom battle music for this battle? Yes. Yes I did. It really fits it. We also haven't had a Drayden intro in a while, because Drayden, Iris, whomever you face here pending your version, is just underwhelming. For this battle, I set up 2 workups and 1 shot with Return, and the same is said for Charon outside of Victory Road. Set up twice and sweep. This Pokemon is an absolute monster. I don't talk about this enough in Generation 5 playthroughs, but the badge check as you make your way to Victory Road, probably the best in the series. Black 2 and White 2 have a good one as well, and Generation 6's isn't too bad either. Looking at this playthrough overall, Stoutland has had 0 faults to this point. No resets, no blackouts. What an absolute beast. I never used one when I first played through these games because in most of the other games, you just box your early Route 1 normal encounter, like Rattata and Raticate in Generation 1, Sentret and Furret in Generation 2. I assume the same is said for Generation 3 with Zigzagoon and Linoon, although those are great HM Pokemon, along with Bidoof and Bibarel from Generation 4. That's enough of that though, let's take on the league. Caitlyn is up first. My opening crunch leaves Reuniqueless on low red health, and it misses Focus Blast. I should have set up a workup during the full restore turn, but I just leave my cursor on Crunch, burning through her healing items. Instead, I set up once on Sigilif, who hits me with Psychic, doing around a third. The one turn of setup though allows me to one-shot the rest of her team, and was really only for the Musharna. Shauntal is next. Remember what I said about Scrappy earlier in the run? Well, after 2 turns of setup and burning my Rawsberry thanks to Will-O-Wisp, Return one-shots the Coffin, but now I have the Mummy ability, and I accidentally use Return on Golurk, who does decent damage with Earthquake. I'll take that over Curse though. I might have lost this one had she gone for that, but as we've seen throughout this playthrough, with setup I can just one-shot the rest of her team. I take on Grimsley next. The Scrafty brings me to about a third of my HP with Brick Break as I set up workup. I wanted to get to at least +2, which will become +1 after Crocodile's Intimidate, but +1 is enough to one-shot the Dark-type Crocodile. I have Dig on my moveset just for Bisharp, and Return cleans up Liepard after it hits me with a Fake Out. Marshall is last, and for good reason. I start by setting up workup as Throw crits me with a Payback. At +1, Return one-shots it, Conkeldurr, and Mienshao, but obviously not Sawk thanks to its sturdy ability. Its following Karate Chop doesn't crit, but it does bring me to 52 HP, and after Marshall burns through his healing items, Stoutland has done it. A first try sweep through the league. I didn't think something like this would happen until I played a Pokemon like Reshiram, Kyurem, or Terrakion, although I'm pretty sure Sawsbuck accomplished this when I did its follow-up run through the main game. I have 8 rare candies in my bag to this point, including the one I pick up in En's Castle. I'm going to use 6 to go from level 59 to 65, above 3 damage rounding thresholds, and teach Substitute in the place of Dig. Looking back at this, I should have deleted Crunch for Substitute. Will this mistake give Stoutland its first fault in the run? En's lead is Zekrom. I set up 2 workups as it hits me with Fusion Bolt doing decent damage and sets up Light Screen. Return one-shots the legendary dragon, and next is Zoroark disguised as Klinklang. In the moment, I thought it was Zoroark, so I go for Return, and I was right. The real Klinklang is next, and I wish I had Dig for this. Crunch does about half as it hits me with a Thunderbolt. My next Crunch leaves it on a sliver as it goes for Hyper Beam, bringing me to a quarter. I go for workup on the recharge turn and Return on the full restore turn, and Return gets a critical hit to one-shot the Steel type. Nice. Vanillix is one-shot by Return, and next is Caracosta. I don't think I have enough HP to tank an attack from this thing, but it just misses its Stone Edge, letting me take it out the next turn. Last is Archeops, but the Rock Flying type doesn't have good defenses, and Return one-shots. I wish I had more to say about Ghetsis in this battle, but I really don't. Set up Substitute to block Toxic from the Coffin, set up Workup, and Sweep. I set up to +6 in this battle, and had I had Dig, which I would have used on Bisharp, I could have probably gotten away with setting up to +2 or even +3 to save a few seconds. Although the animation from Dig probably would have cancelled that out, but Stoutland still has an amazing time for this playthrough. It finishes with a real time of 1 hour, 19 minutes and 21 seconds. My fastest real time to date. 0 resets and 0 blackouts, a first for me, at level 67, with an in-game time of 5 hours and 4 minutes, barely missing the sub 5 barrier. It goes without saying that Stoutland takes the top spot in the tier list. Dredigan's time at the top was short-lived, but now the question becomes, can Stoutland claim the top spot of the post-game tier list? I think it has all of the tools to do so, but there's only one way to find out. The first thing I'm going to do is grab the rare candies I skipped initially. I'm going to be skipping the HM for Waterfall, so we're going to be losing out on the Lostlorn candy and Abundant Shrine candy. I'm gonna file those with the Challenger's Cave candy for Pokemon who are just having a bad post-game. The Mistralton candy sometimes makes sense if you need to grab Rock Slide, but that one is still out of the way as well. So we're going to grab the Pinwheel candy along with the Chargestone Cave candy as well. But while I'm here, I might as well grab the Bright Powder. I grab the Anvil Town candy and then head east from Nimbasa to Undella Town, where I'm going to do some blackout grinding. These battles against Cynthia technically would be the first fault of the run, but I'm not counting it against Stoutland because I want to lose to her over and over again while knocking out a minimum of 3 Pokemon. In this first attempt though, I can't even make it by the Spiritomb due to getting burned by Will-O-Wisp, and while I get by it in the next battle, Lucario is faster and just ends me with close combat. As I'm doing this blackout grind, it's also scouting against Cynthia to see what works and what doesn't. What Pokemon do I need a substitute in place for? Do I need a minimum number of workups in order to one-shot something? Because I believe Cynthia is a good test on how you will perform against round 2 of the league. I do try to defeat her with every Pokemon I play. Some need good luck to get by her, others don't. And then there are others like Excelgor who just don't stand a chance. But if you've been paying attention to the battle in the background, how I mentioned about scouting against Cynthia, you'll see that I have a way to defeat her, and a way to easily defeat 5 Pokemon and just black out to the 6th. So we're going to jump ahead to my winning attempt at level 73. I also want to note that this is my first attempt at level 73, and I set up to +6 after a substitute when it likely wasn't needed. I also re-established my substitute after Spiritomb breaks it, because in prior battles, both Lucario and Garchomp outsped me. Lucario, as you saw, can just end me with close combat, and Garchomp's Dragon Rush hits hard, but Stoutland is now faster than both of them, and at +6, return just goes burr. The Sinnoh champion is defeated. Before I head back to the league, I stop by Driftville to grab the Shell Bell, then a quick trip to Mistralton for the move reminder, so I can reteach Fire Fang. In terms of who to take on first in the league, I figured Chantal or Caitlyn would be my easiest matchup, and I start with the Ghost-type specialist. Turn 1, set up substitute to block Will-O-Wisp, but Cofagrigus uses Psychic for the first turn. It does try Will-O-Wisp the next 2 turns before breaking my sub with a Psychic. I'm at +3, so I figured this was good enough to go for the sweep. I can one-shot the Coffin, Golurk, and Jellicent, but I trigger Cursed Body. This isn't good. Thankfully Frostlass is next. It just misses a Blizzard and Fire Fang deals super effective damage. Fire Fang also one-shots Drifblim, but its aftermath brings me under half health. Last is Chandelure. Since Crunch is still disabled, I have to go for Fire Fang. It gets a critical hit, leaving Chandelure on low red health and flinches it. Unfortunately, playing at 4 times speed, I missed that it said Crunch is no longer disabled here. She uses a full restore the next turn and Fire Fang does about a third, but I trigger Flame Body in the process. But I put my cursor on Crunch, see it's no longer disabled, and finish off her ace. Caitlyn is next and she's simple. Set up substitute on the Musharna who's just going to spam Hypnosis, set up workup, and sweep. Fire Fang was nice to have for both her Metagross and Bronzong. Round 2 Grimsley tends to be a problem for Pokemon, especially when you forget to put on the Shell Bell like I did. I've taught substitute in the place of Crunch before this battle, but Grimsley doesn't have a Pokemon that I can properly set this up on. I do manage to get 2 turns of workup in as Sharpedo hits me with Waterfall and Night Slash before going down, but thanks to its Rough Skin ability, I have less than half of my HP for the remaining Pokemon. The good news is that I can one-shot Scrafty and Crocodile after its Intimidate. Liepard, however, instead of going for Fake Out, hits me with Sucker Punch to bring me to 58 HP, and while Return one-shots it, I still have to deal with Drapion and Bisharp. Return leaves Drapion on what looks like 1 HP as it hits me with Crunch, which also leaves Stoutland on 1 HP. Return gets a better roll after the full restore next turn, taking it out. Fire Fang, to my surprise, doesn't one-shot Bisharp, but we get the flinch. This has been the closest battle so far in this run. But now we have to talk about round 2 Marshall. His Breloom loves to use Spore turn 1, so I set up a substitute to block it. I can get a turn of workup in the next turn before it breaks my sub with Sky Uppercut, and I'm able to repeat this process one more time before I have to go on the offensive. And while I'm able to one-shot Breloom and the following Mienshao, Sawk gets a chance to attack thanks to its sturdy ability, and close combat annihilates me, my first reset of the run. In the next battle, I don't even make it by the Breloom. I meant to put on a Chesto Berry, and it puts me to sleep with Spore and Sky Uppercuts me until I faint, although it's nice to know that I can tank at least one of those. In the third battle, I try to get lucky with a burn or flinch from Fire Fang, which I don't, and Sawk defeats me again. Battle 4, I misclick Substitute when I meant to hit Fire Fang, so another quick reset. Battle 5, I triggered Effect Spore, paralyzing me, and Mienshao for good measure hits me with Fake Out before High Jump Kick wrecks me. 5 resets to Marshall. I thought Stoutland might have 2, maybe 3, but not 5. I make sure to put the Shell Bell on before this battle, and I'm going to see what not setting up any workups can do. Fire Fang with no setup leaves Breloom on low red health, but it goes for Spore again instead of Sky Uppercut. I needed this luck. Since Marshall is going to use a full restore, I squeeze in one workup so I can one-shot it the next turn, thankfully not triggering Effect Spore. Mienshao's Fake Out can't stop my attack, and now I have a sub and full health for Sawk. While it does break it with close combat, Marshall's already used his full restore, and I think I'm in the clear now. Return one-shots the following throw, but Conkeldurr hangs on from Return, and Hammer Arm deals massive damage. I can take it out and move on to the final Pokemon Toxicroak, but if Return can't get the one-shot, this battle's over, and thankfully, it does. I let out a huge sigh of relief because I did not want to do that battle over again. There's going to be no changes to Stoutland's moveset or held item for the battle against Alder. All it needs is a little bit of luck against the annoying lead Excelgor. Because Excelgor is faster and has Focus Blast, and although it's only 70% accurate, it's 99% accurate when used by this thing. It's able to hit 2 in a row, and my first attempt at Alder is a loss. Let's try no setup against this thing. Instead, I'm going to hope for a miss from Focus Blast, which I get, and Fire Fang easily takes out his lead. Druddigon is next, and I was expecting a superpower from this thing. Return leaves it on low red health, and it goes for payback of all moves. I can set up one turn of workup during the full restore turn, and one-shot the former top Pokemon on my tier list. I taught Fire Fang specifically for Escavalier, because this thing melts at the sight of fire. Return one-shots his ace Volcarona, but not Bouffalant, which goes for head charge, dealing a lot of damage to Stoutland, but the recoil knocks Bouffalant out. Last is Vanillix, and one click of Return gets Stoutland over the finish line. It finishes the postgame with a record time of 19 minutes and 23 seconds, the first sub 20-minute postgame, at level 84, with a cumulative game time of 6 hours and 10 minutes. Not only did it claim the top spot on the main game tier list, it doubled down and claimed the top spot on the post-game tier list. What an absolutely great Pokemon. It's always great establishing a new personal best in these games. It's also weird to think that Stoutland beat the main and post-game before all 3 of the starters completed the main game, but I also ran those back on Desmume, which didn't get true 4x speed. I do plan on redoing those in my spare time, but I probably won't revisit the post-game. Maybe I'll have those before the next Black video. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, thank you for the continued support. I think there is a Pokemon that can compete with the results Stoutland just got today that isn't a legendary, so tune in next time when we see how Excadrill does in Pokemon Black. I'll catch you guys in my next one. Take care, everybody.